From his awkward high school years to the feuds he faced after becoming famous, these are things you didn't know about John Oliver. Number 17, beginnings.
This comedian was born in April 1977 in Erdington, Birmingham, England. His parents are Jim and Carol Oliver.
John's dad was a social worker and school headmaster, and his mother taught music. After he graduated from secondary school, Oliver went to Christ College in Cambridge. He joined the Cambridge Footlights, a theater club, during his time there and was elected vice president of the group in 1997. John graduated from college in 1998 with an English degree. Number 16, outcast. Throughout the years, John's sense of humor and wit has grown on everybody. However, there was a time when he felt that he didn't fit in. In 2014, he said that during his teenage years, he felt inadequate, noting that most teenagers go through confusing phases where nothing seems to make sense. He added that despite being an athlete and playing the violin, girls never seemed to notice him. But like most people, Oliver overcame the hardships of his youth. Number 15, football. No, not American football. As we stated previously, John Oliver has been a huge soccer fan his entire life. In fact, he used to dream of playing the sport professionally. During a 2014 interview with Rolling Stone, he stated that he'd gone to Yankee Stadium to watch a game and got to go into the locker room afterwards. He said he'd been thinking about that moment since he was a child, and he got to meet some of his heroes in person. Oliver further noted that many of them weren't wearing clothes, and he was still trying to accept that he'd seen half of the Liverpool players naked. Number 14, Mock the Week. You might not have known that John Oliver was on the British comedy show Mock the Week from 2005 to 2006. The show is still on today and features comedians who answer questions about celebrities.
During one episode, John Oliver was responding to what the voices inside George W. Bush's head might be talking about.
He said that the then United States president's inner voice would tell him that they'd like to renounce him. But this short stint on Mock the Week was only the start of Oliver's many successes. Number 13, The Bugle. Another funny thing John Oliver did was create a podcast called The Bugle in 2007 with Andy Zaltzman. The show was initiated by the Times of London after John moved to New York. The first episode aired in October of that year. One of their most famous podcasts concerned the 2011 News International phone hacking scandal. During the installment, they made fun of their parent company, as well as the News International's director, Rupert Murdoch. They announced in June 2016 that John was leaving The Bugle because he didn't have enough time to keep up as a regular co-host. Number 12, stand-up comedy. Like most famous comedians, John Oliver got his start in the business by doing stand-up. His first appearance was at the Edinburgh Festival Fringe in 2001, performing as part of the Comedy Zone. The showcase was for new acts. The character he played for the show was an oily journalist. Oliver also worked at various other venues with the Chocolate Milk Gang, which was comprised of several other comedians, including David O'Doherty, Russell Howard, Alan Cochrane, and Daniel Kitson. When he moved to New York City to work on The Daily Show with Jon Stewart, he continued doing stand-up comedy. He performed at small clubs and eventually started headlining at bigger venues. The comedian's first stand-up special was called John Oliver, Terrifying Times, and it aired in 2008 on Comedy Central. Back in 2013, he even did a stand-up in Afghanistan for the troops. Oliver gained a lot of popularity in the United States, and many people think it is due to the exaggerated humor that he takes from his British roots. Number 11, The Daily Show. John Oliver became the senior British correspondent for The Daily Show with Jon Stewart in July 2006. This was the first time he had been in the United States, and he was recommended for the show by Ricky Gervais, another English comedian. Even though they hadn't met, John received the job about 2 weeks later, and he flew from London to the Big Apple. He won Emmys for his writing in 2009, 2011, and 2013. In 2013, Oliver became a guest host for The Daily Show while Stewart was directing Rosewater. Since he received many positive reviews, HBO said that they wanted to give John his very own late-night show, which they did in 2014. Number 10, Stand-Up Show. Another show that John Oliver got was a stand-up series on Comedy Central called John Oliver's New York Stand-Up Show. It was announced in 2009, and the first episode aired in January 2010. However, the show wasn't only about John Oliver. He hosted it while experienced and new comedians performed. Every segment had 4 different performers, including one headliner. There were a total of 4 seasons, and the last one was in September 2013. Number 9, The Fame. Although Oliver has become a household name since his time on The Daily Show, and especially through Last Week Tonight, he stated during his 2014 Rolling Stone interview that he was never really interested in becoming famous.
Oliver noted that he understands what needs to happen for the show, such as advertising. However, he doesn't find the Hollywood lifestyle appealing like other celebrities seem to.
He added that he loves working and enjoys his career, but it isn't because of the recognition that comes with it. Oliver also said that he's not great at award ceremonies. He admits they're fun, but he doesn't like to go very often. Number 8, Last Week Tonight. One of John Oliver's most well-known accomplishments is the show he got with HBO called Last Week Tonight. It started in April 2014 and has been a hit ever since. Throughout the episodes, Oliver talks about various news stories. Plus, he has complete freedom to criticize and talk about whoever he wants to, including corporations. Although the series is somewhat similar to The Daily Show, John generally focuses on one subject per episode. Last Week Tonight also has its own YouTube channel, where videos are added periodically after the show airs. The very first episode received over 1 million viewers, and the first season got over 4 million viewers via televisions on demand, HBO Go, and DVR. One of the segments from February 2016 was about Donald Trump. It accumulated more than 85 million views on YouTube and Facebook, making it the most popular Last Week Tonight episode so far. Number 7. Wife and Sons. At the 2008 Republican National Convention, John Oliver met his now wife, Kate Norley. He was there working on a segment for The Daily Show, and she was with Vets for Freedom campaigning. You might not have known that Norley herself is a veteran. She served in the Iraq conflict as a United States Army combat medic. Kate had enlisted after the events of 9/11 at just 19 years old. She and the rest of the veterans helped hide John, the camera crew, and other so-called journalists from security. They began emailing back and forth and formed a friendship soon after, which led to their romance. They ended up tying the knot in October 2011. John has often described his wife as extremely American and said that she is unable to go home after a long day and complained that she had a tough time at work. He noted that a rough time on the set of Last Week Tonight doesn't quite compare to treating wounded soldiers out on the field, so he doesn't whine about his job.
Considering that the talk show is quite liberal, it might surprise people that Kate is a Republican. However, if they disagree on political matters at home, then Oliver hasn't discussed it publicly on his series.
But he has let everyone know that he supports his wife wholeheartedly. John and Kate have 2 sons together, born in 2015 and 2018. Number 6. Dustin Hoffman. In 2017, John Oliver sparked up a feud with actor and director Dustin Hoffman. Hoffman had been accused of harassing a 17-year-old girl. He allegedly grabbed her inappropriately and said lewd things to her while she was interning on the set of Death of a Salesman in 1985. So while he and Hoffman were participating in a Tribeca film panel in December of that year, John took the opportunity to confront the actor. He told Hoffman that despite his statement that the accusation doesn't reflect who he is as a person, that it does, in fact, indicate what kind of person he is. Oliver noted that those type of comments make him angry, and Hoffman wasn't giving the responses he was looking for concerning his questions about the situation. Regarding the entire conversation with Hoffman, John Oliver later stated that he was upset with how things turned out, when the focus became more on his questions than Dustin's statements. Number 5. Awards. John Oliver is a very successful writer and comedian, and he has the awards to prove it. He has won a total of 7 Primetime Emmys for his work on Last Week Tonight and The Daily Show. Oliver also took home a 2015 Dorian Award from the Gay and Lesbian Entertainment Critics Association. In 2016 and 2018, he won Online Film and Television Association awards, and he holds 3 PGA awards. In addition to those, Oliver owns 5 awards from the Writers Guild of America. According to his IMDb profile, he has a total of 23 wins and 25 nominations. Number 4. Lawsuit. During one of the episodes of Last Week Tonight, John Oliver discussed the coal industry and spoke about Robert Murray, Murray Energy Corporation's Chief Executive Officer. He compared Murray to Dr. Evil and talked about the maltreatment of his employees concerning their health. So, Robert and his company sued Oliver and HBO, claiming that he had been portrayed as a villain by the host. The case was sent to the state court in West Virginia, and 2 motions were submitted that asked the judge to dismiss it. They argued that John Oliver and HBO were protected under the First Amendment.
The judge ultimately ruled that Rowley's claims had no legal backing and dismissed the case.
Number 3. Other roles. In addition to his successful television career, John Oliver has been in a few movies. He voiced Vanity in The Smurfs and The Smurfs 2. Plus, Oliver played a character in The Love Guru. Recently, he completed his work voicing Zazu in the Lion King live-action film. Besides his movie roles, Oliver has made guest appearances in various other television shows, including Danger Mouse, Bob's Burgers, The Simpsons, Rick and Morty, and The Late Night Show with Stephen Colbert. Number 2. Hawking and robots. John Oliver has made an impact on people everywhere, whether it be making them laugh or truly making sense. During one of the 2014 segments, he interviewed Stephen Hawking. Oliver asked Hawking's opinion on the dangers of artificial intelligence, and he noted that it could be a problem fairly soon in society, which Elon Musk believes as well. The sarcasm and joking between the 2 men made a really popular episode.
More recently, Oliver brought up robots in another installment. He had children interviewing about what they want to be when they grow up.
From mermaid doctor to rock star ballerina, the kids were dreaming big. However, with the expanding automation industry, Oliver noted that robots could, at least partially, take over numerous human jobs. An example is McDonald's self-ordering touchscreens. During the segment, he discussed that many people are worried about losing their careers due to automation, like truck drivers. Throughout the humorous episode, Oliver touches on many important news topics, which is the running theme of Last Week Tonight. Number 1. The John Oliver Effect.
Because John Oliver's Last Week Tonight show is both comical and informative, it has made more impact on various aspects of American culture.
He has influenced court rulings, legislation, and many other things, and this impact is called the John Oliver Effect. In the 5th episode of a series, he talked about net neutrality, which concerns the accessibility of websites, applications, and content on the internet. The segment ultimately led to a change in the Federal Communications Commission's net neutrality rules, and John was given credit for significantly changing the debate regarding the subject. Currently, the episode has over 14 million views on YouTube. A 9th Circuit Court judge even cited a Last Week Tonight installment concerning the rights of people living in the United States territories. Members of Congress and a council member of Washington, D.C. have credited John Oliver as well.
Today's featured comment comes from A on our Truth About Brad and Angelina's Divorce video. Thanks for your comment, A. Don't forget to leave your thoughts below, and we might feature you in a future video. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.